Everything you've been told about losing weight is built around one number: calories. Eat fewer of them, the theory goes, and the fat will come off. So you've tried that, you cut your portions, you passed on dessert, you tracked your food in an app, maybe you did it for weeks, maybe months, and the belly is still there, and you're starting to wonder if something is wrong with you, if your body is broken, if it's just too late. I want to tell you something today that I tell my patients who come to me after years of trying this approach. Nothing is wrong with you. Your body is not broken. The model you've been given is broken. Counting calories after 60 is like trying to fix a broken engine by measuring how much gas you put in. The engine is the problem, not the fuel quantity. Today, I'm going to show you how to fix the engine. My name is Dr. William Lee. I'm a physician, scientist, and the author of Eat to Beat Disease. I've spent more than 20 years studying how food communicates with human biology, how specific compounds in the foods we eat send signals that either promote disease and fat storage or activate healing and fat burning. And what I'm going to share with you today isn't a diet. It's a communication upgrade. You're going to learn to speak your body's language. When you do, your body will naturally do what it was designed to do all along. I want to explain something that most doctors don't take time to explain to their patients, and it's the reason so many people over 60 are doing everything right and getting nowhere. The calorie model of weight loss was developed in the early 20th century. It is based on thermodynamics, the idea that if you take in fewer units of energy than you burn, you will lose weight. That idea is not completely wrong, but it is dangerously incomplete once you're past 60. And here's why. There are 3 biological changes that happen in an aging body that make the calorie equation almost irrelevant. The first is insulin resistance. Insulin is the hormone that moves sugar from your blood into your cells. After 60, particularly in Americans who have spent decades eating processed foods, insulin resistance is nearly universal. What this means is that your cells have stopped responding efficiently to insulin signals. And here is the critical piece. When insulin levels are chronically elevated, which they are in insulin-resistant adults, your body is in a permanent state of fat storage. The switch is stuck in the wrong position. You can eat 200 fewer calories a day, and your insulin will still be telling your fat cells to expand. Eating less does not fix insulin resistance. Only eating differently does. The second biological change is sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass. After the age of 30, we lose roughly 3 to 5% of our muscle mass every decade. By 60, many people have lost a significant portion of the primary fat-burning engine in their body. Muscle is metabolically active. It burns calories at rest. Less muscle means a slower resting metabolism. Now here's the trap. When you cut calories without addressing protein quality, your body responds by breaking down even more muscle for energy. You lose weight on the scale, but the weight you're losing is largely muscle, not fat. Your metabolism gets slower, and when you inevitably eat normally again, the fat comes back faster than before. This is why almost every calorie restriction approach leaves people worse off than when they started. The third change is a shift in the gut microbiome. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria that play a direct role in how your body processes food. There are 2 dominant bacterial families that matter here, firmicutes and bacteroidetes. Research from Washington University and others has shown that people with a higher ratio of firmicutes to bacteroidetes extract more calories from the same amount of food than people with a more balanced ratio. As we age, that ratio tends to shift toward more firmicutes, which means your gut literally becomes more efficient at pulling energy from food. You can eat the exact same calories as someone younger, and your body will store more of them as fat. Again, eating less doesn't fix this. Eating differently does. So, if cutting calories is the wrong tool, what's the right one? The answer is what I call the 5 biological levers, and they're what the rest of this video is about. Think of your body's fat storage and fat burning system as a machine with 5 switches. Most people are walking around with all 5 switches in the wrong position, and no amount of calorie restriction can override 5 biological switches working against you. But when you start eating foods that flip these switches, one by one or several at once, your body naturally begins to do what it was designed to do. It burns fat, it builds muscle, it regulates hunger, and it does it without you having to think about portions or macros or calories. Here are the 5 levers. Lever 1, insulin sensitivity. Certain foods dramatically improve your cell's response to insulin. When insulin sensitivity goes up, your body exits fat storage mode and enters fat burning mode. This is the most important lever for people over 60. Lever 2, satiety signaling. Your gut produces hormones, particularly GLP-1 and leptin, that tell your brain you're full. Certain foods powerfully activate these satiety signals. When satiety signaling is strong, you naturally eat less. Not because you're restricting yourself, but because your biology is satisfied. Lever 3, thermogenic activation. This is the thermic effect of food, the energy your body expends just to digest and process what you eat. Different foods have dramatically different thermic effects. High-protein foods, for example, require your body to burn 20 to 30% of their own caloric value just to be digested. That means you're burning more calories at rest without any exercise. Lever 4, microbiome rebalancing. The right foods selectively feed beneficial bacteria that shift your gut ratio in the right direction, reducing the efficiency with which your body extracts and stores fat from the food you eat. Lever 5, angiogenic suppression. Visceral fat, the dangerous fat around your organs, grows its own blood vessel network to feed itself. This is called angiogenesis. Certain food compounds inhibit this process, cutting off the fuel supply that allows visceral fat to expand. This is the lever that comes directly from my own research. Now let me show you exactly which foods activate these levers and how to use them. Food number 1, eggs. Eggs may be the single most powerful lever-activating food you can eat for breakfast after 60, and I want to explain exactly why. Eggs are rich in choline, a nutrient that improves insulin signaling at the cellular level. Studies have shown that people who eat eggs for breakfast have significantly lower blood insulin spikes compared to those who eat a carbohydrate-based breakfast of equal calories. That's lever 1. Eggs also provide a complete protein profile, all essential amino acids, which powerfully activates GLP-1, the same satiety hormone that weight loss drugs like Ozempic target. Multiple randomized trials have shown that people who eat eggs for breakfast consume significantly fewer calories over the following 36 hours, not because they tried to, but because their satiety signaling was stronger. That's lever 2. And protein has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient. Of every 100 calories of protein you consume, your body burns 20 to 30 calories just to digest it. Eggs are essentially a thermogenic food by nature. That's lever 3. How much? 2 to 3 whole eggs, 3 to 5 days per week. The yolk is where the choline lives. Don't discard it. Scrambled in extra virgin olive oil, poached or soft boiled. Simple. For those with cardiovascular concerns, the research over the last decade has largely exonerated dietary cholesterol from eggs as a driver of blood cholesterol in most people. But if you have a specific condition, have the conversation with your physician. Food number 2, extra virgin olive oil. I want to be specific here because the word olive oil on a supermarket label can mean many things. What I'm talking about is cold-pressed, high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil. The darker, more peppery the taste, the higher the polyphenol content. Oleic acid, the primary fat in extra virgin olive oil, activates a receptor called PPAR alpha in the liver, which directly shifts the body from fat storing mode to fat oxidizing mode. It also reduces fasting insulin levels. That's lever 1. But the compound I find most extraordinary is oleocanthal. Oleocanthal inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes as ibuprofen, COX-1 and COX-2, and dramatically reduces levels of VEGF, the growth factor that visceral fat uses to build its blood supply. That's lever 5, working through the same mechanism my laboratory has studied. The pre-dimed trial, one of the largest nutritional studies ever conducted with over 7,000 participants, found that daily extra virgin olive oil consumption was associated with significantly reduced central adiposity and lower inflammatory markers. This effect held across all age groups, including adults over 65. 2 tablespoons per day is the evidence-based dose. Use it as your primary fat for cooking at low to medium heat or as a finishing oil over vegetables and salads. Food number 3, wild salmon. Wild salmon is one of the richest sources of EPA and DHA, the long-chain omega-3 fatty acids that have the most direct biological activity in the human body. EPA and DHA activate PPAR gamma, a nuclear receptor that plays a central role in insulin sensitivity. When PPAR gamma is activated, adipose tissue, fat tissue, becomes more responsive to insulin signals, meaning fat is more readily mobilized for energy rather than stored. That's lever 1. Omega-3s also strongly activate satiety hormones, particularly peptide YY and GLP-1. A meal built around salmon produces a significantly longer period of satiety compared to a calorie equivalent meal built around refined carbohydrates. That's lever 2. And the omega-3s in salmon selectively feed lactobacillus and bifidobacterium species in the gut, the bacteria most associated with lower visceral fat mass and healthier firmicutes to bacteroidetes ratios. That's lever 4. 2 to 3 servings per week is the target. Wild-caught Alaskan salmon has roughly twice the omega-3 content of most farmed Atlantic salmon. Canned wild salmon is nutritionally equivalent to fresh and is far more accessible. Food number 4, lentils and beans. If I could choose one food category that the majority of my American patients over 60 are dramatically under-eating, it would be this one. Lentils, chickpeas, black beans, and kidney beans are uniquely rich in resistant starch, a type of fiber that your digestive enzymes cannot break down. Instead, it travels to the colon intact, where it becomes food for your gut bacteria. When your microbiome ferments resistant starch, it produces short-chain fatty acids, primarily butyrate. Butyrate does several remarkable things. It reduces gut permeability, it travels to the liver and activates fat oxidation pathways, and it directly suppresses the inflammatory signaling that drives fat cell expansion. That's lever 4 doing double and triple duty. Resistant starch also dramatically slows gastric emptying, the rate at which your stomach sends food to the intestine. This produces a prolonged and powerful satiety signal that can reduce food intake naturally for 4 to 6 hours after a meal. That's lever 2. 1 cup of cooked lentils provides 18 grams of plant protein, 15 grams of fiber, and approximately 230 calories. For people over 60 who need to maintain muscle while managing caloric balance, that nutrient density is extraordinary. Half a cup to 1 cup, 3 or more times per week. Canned beans, rinsed under water to reduce sodium, are just as nutritious as dried and take 5 minutes to prepare. Food number 5, green tea and matcha. And green tea contains a catechin called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, and it works on 2 levers simultaneously. EGCG activates thermogenesis in brown adipose tissue. Brown fat is a specialized type of fat that burns energy to generate heat. As we age, brown fat activity declines, EGCG reactivates it. Studies measuring resting metabolic rate have shown that regular green tea consumption increases fat oxidation by 8 to 12%, without any change in exercise or food intake. That's lever 3. EGCG is also one of the most studied natural inhibitors of VEGF, the same angiogenic signal that allows visceral fat to grow its blood supply. Multiple laboratory studies and several clinical trials have demonstrated that EGCG reduces visceral fat area independent of total body weight change. That's lever 5, 2 to 4 cups of brewed green tea per day, or 1 cup of matcha, which delivers roughly 10 times the EGCG of regular brewed tea. For those who are caffeine sensitive, drinking it before noon and switching to decaf versions in the afternoon is an easy workaround. Food number 6, full-fat Greek yogurt. I'm going to address the elephant in the room immediately. Yes, full fat, not low fat, not fat-free. The fat in full-fat Greek yogurt, primarily short and medium-chain saturated fatty acids, plays a direct role in activating satiety hormones in the small intestine. When these fatty acids are absent, as they are in low-fat yogurt, the satiety signal is significantly weaker. You eat the same food, feel less satisfied, and compensate by eating more later. The full-fat version, despite having more calories on paper, actually leads to less overall caloric intake across the day. That's lever 2. Greek yogurt is also one of the most accessible sources of live probiotic cultures, specifically Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium. These species are among the most studied for their direct association with lower visceral fat mass and healthier gut microbiome composition. That's lever 4. Look for live and active cultures on the label. 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup once daily. Plain, unsweetened. Add berries and a tablespoon of ground flaxseed for a complete lever-activating breakfast or snack. Food number 7, broccoli and cruciferous vegetables broadly, which includes cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage. This food group's power comes from a compound called sulforaphane, which is released when cruciferous vegetables are chopped or chewed, and an enzyme called myrosinase activates. Sulforaphane activates NRF2, the master regulator of the body's antioxidant and cellular defense systems. One of NRF2's downstream effects is to increase the sensitivity of insulin receptors on muscle and liver cells. Higher insulin sensitivity means lower baseline insulin levels, which means more time in fat-burning mode rather than fat-storing mode. That's lever 1. Sulforaphane also activates thermogenic pathways in brown adipose tissue. Similarly to EGCG, it stimulates uncoupling proteins that increase heat production and fat oxidation. That's lever 3. 1 to 2 cups of lightly steamed or roasted cruciferous vegetables 3 to 5 times per week. Light cooking, not boiling, preserves more sulforaphane. Letting chopped broccoli rest for 5 minutes before cooking further increases myrosinase activity and sulforaphane yield. Food number 8, walnuts. Walnuts occupy a unique position among nuts because of their specific polyphenol and ALA omega-3 combination. A randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Nutrition tracked gut microbiome composition and metabolic markers in adults who consumed walnuts daily versus those who did not. The walnut group showed a significant increase in lactobacillus species, a decrease in firmicutes to bacteroidetes ratio, and measurably higher levels of butyrate-producing bacteria. That's lever 4. Walnuts also contain a specific combination of fiber, protein, and fat that activates a prolonged satiety response. Brain imaging studies using fMRI have shown that walnut consumption measurably increases activity in regions of the brain associated with hunger control, suggesting the satiety effect is neurological as well as hormonal. That's lever 2 working at a surprisingly deep level. 1 ounce, about a small handful, per day, eaten as a snack, added to oatmeal, or incorporated into salads, stored in the refrigerator to preserve the fragile omega-3 fats. Now I want to be honest with you about the other side of this equation, because the 8 foods I just showed you are doing enormous work in your body, but if you're regularly eating certain other foods, those foods can undo that work entirely. They don't just fail to activate the levers, they actively lock them shut. I see this all the time in my patients. They're eating well in some areas and unknowingly sabotaging themselves in others. So let me show you the 4 biggest offenders, and more importantly, the easy swaps. The first is ultra-processed seed oils, canola oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, and corn oil. These are the cooking oils found in most American processed foods, restaurant kitchens, and many home kitchens. They are extremely high in omega-6 linoleic acid, and when consumed in the quantities typical of the American diet, they drive chronic inflammation through a biochemical cascade that ends in elevated TNF-alpha and IL-6, the same cytokines that cause insulin resistance, suppress satiety signaling, and promote visceral fat expansion. All 5 levers in the wrong direction. The swap, extra virgin olive oil for cooking at low to medium heat, avocado oil for high heat cooking. Neither of these has the omega-6 excess that drives the inflammatory cascade. The second is refined carbohydrates. White bread, white rice, most crackers, commercial cereals. These foods are digested almost instantaneously, producing a rapid spike in blood glucose followed by a sharp insulin surge. This is the most direct and powerful way to lock lever 1 shut. And the insulin spike that follows a refined carb meal can keep your body in fat storage mode for 3 to 4 hours afterward. The swap, sourdough bread made from whole grains, which has a dramatically lower glycemic response due to fermentation. Steel cut or rolled oats instead of cold cereal. Brown rice or lentils instead of white rice. The third is artificial sweeteners. This one surprises people because the logic seems sound. 0 calories, 0 sugar, so how could it be a problem? A landmark study published in Nature by Suez and colleagues showed that artificial sweeteners, including sucralose, aspartame, and saccharin, significantly alter gut microbiome composition in ways that promote glucose intolerance and fat storage. They devastate lever 4. Additionally, animal and some human studies suggest that the sweet taste of artificial sweeteners without accompanying calories dysregulates the brain's reward and hunger signaling pathways, increasing cravings for sweet and calorie-dense foods in the hours that follow. The swap, sparkling water with a splash of pomegranate juice, naturally flavored water, small amounts of raw honey and coffee or tea if needed. It has a glycemic effect, but it comes with polyphenols that mitigate it. The fourth is alcohol, particularly cocktails and sweet wines. I'm not here to tell anyone to stop drinking entirely, but I do want to be transparent about what alcohol does to fat metabolism. When alcohol is present in the body, your liver prioritizes its metabolism over everything else, including fat oxidation. Fat burning essentially stops until the alcohol is cleared. For someone who has a drink with dinner every night, that's 3 to 4 hours every day in which fat burning is suspended, regardless of everything else they've done right. Additionally, alcohol suppresses leptin, reduces sleep quality, and elevates cortisol, which directly promotes visceral fat storage. The swap. If you enjoy a glass of red wine a few evenings a week, the polyphenols in dry red wine do provide some offsetting benefit. But cocktails with mixers, sweet wines, and beer provide essentially no upside for the significant metabolic cost. I want to make this as concrete and actionable as possible, because I know that information without a clear next step is just entertainment. So let me give you what I call the shift, not a diet, not a meal plan, but a pattern of eating that activates your 5 levers consistently across the week. The structure is simple: protein and fat first at breakfast, fiber and fat at lunch, anti-inflammatory foods at dinner. And within each meal, you're choosing from the 8 foods we just discussed. Here's what a typical day looks like. Breakfast: 2 eggs scrambled in extra virgin olive oil, half a cup of blueberries or berries of any kind, and a cup of green tea. This meal activates levers 1, 2, and 3 before 9 in the morning. Lunch: a large salad base, any dark leafy greens, topped with half a cup of canned lentils, a portion of canned wild salmon or leftover salmon from dinner, dressed with 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and lemon juice. Levers 1, 2, and 4. Dinner: a serving of wild salmon or chicken breast, roasted broccoli or Brussels sprouts tossed in olive oil with turmeric and black pepper, and a side of kimchi or a small serving of Greek yogurt. Levers 1, 3, and 4. Snack if you need one: 1 ounce of 85% dark chocolate, or 3/4 of a cup of full-fat Greek yogurt with a tablespoon of walnuts and pomegranate arils. That's a day of eating that is genuinely satisfying. Plenty of good fat, complete proteins, and more flavor than most diet foods. And it doesn't require you to weigh anything, count anything, or feel deprived. Now, if that feels like too much change all at once, here are 3 swaps you can make starting tomorrow. Just 3 that will immediately shift your biology. Swap 1. Whatever you're eating for breakfast right now, cereal, toast, a muffin, replace it with 2 eggs cooked in olive oil and a handful of berries. 1 swap. Significant impact. Swap 2. Replace whatever oil you're currently cooking with, whether that's canola, vegetable, or corn oil, with extra virgin olive oil. This one change removes the single biggest driver of chronic inflammation in the American diet. Swap 3. Replace any diet sodas or artificially sweetened beverages with sparkling water, plain water, or green tea. Your gut microbiome will begin to recover within 72 hours. 3 swaps. You don't have to do anything else to start feeling a difference. What you'll notice first, typically within the first week, is that you're less hungry in the mornings and afternoons. Your satiety signaling will start to normalize. You'll find yourself thinking about food less, not more. And over time, typically 8 to 12 weeks of consistent eating in this pattern, your waist circumference will begin to change. Not because you starved yourself, because you changed the signals. Let me bring this together. After 60, your body isn't broken. It's operating under a different set of rules than it was at 30 or 40. And the rules most people are following, rules built around calories and portions and restriction, are the wrong rules for those changes. The 5 levers, insulin sensitivity, satiety signaling, thermogenic activation, microbiome rebalancing, and angiogenic suppression, are the actual controls of your body's fat storage system. And they respond to food quality, not food quantity. The 8 foods I showed you today: eggs, extra virgin olive oil, wild salmon, lentils, green tea, full-fat Greek yogurt, cruciferous vegetables, and walnuts, these are not superfoods in the marketing sense. They are foods that communicate with your biology in ways that directly activate these 5 levers. The science behind each of them is peer-reviewed, replicated, and increasingly well understood. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. Start with the 3 swaps, build the pattern over the first week, and let your biology catch up to what you're doing. I've put together a 1-page guide, the 5-lever food guide, that lists each food, which lever it activates, the dose, and the swap it can replace. It's free. You can download it at the link in the description or in the first comment below. If this video has been useful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel. The community here at Aging Strong Together is one I take seriously. Your questions directly shape what I make next. Leave a comment telling me which of the 5 levers surprised you most. I'll read every one. And next week, I'm going to show you the specific eating window that multiplies everything I covered today. It's not intermittent fasting as most people know it. It's a time-based eating strategy developed specifically around the biological rhythms of bodies over 60. It works synergistically with the 5 levers in a way that genuinely accelerates results. I'll see you then. In the meantime, your body is not done responding to good inputs. It never is. Give it the right signals and it will surprise you.